What is up, freedom fighters? It is Dean Soto, Freedom in 5 Minutes. Today, let's talk about how to deal with limiting beliefs. Make sure I got my setup all set up and everything like that. Looking good, Dean. We got this. All right, so it's funny because had you seen me doing videos like this just maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, well, in fact, you can actually go search Dean Soto and look at the video, look at the videos from a long time ago when I first started my business, and you'd see me going, well, yeah, I think that you might want to you can go and do this and that and business and it was pretty terrible, seriously. Now it looks like, wow, Dean, you can actually speak to a camera. What is going on here? How are you able to do this? And you might on the other side be, you're really annoying, I don't like you, and that's totally fine. It's fine with me. Back in the day, I used to care a lot. Now, I don't care at all, okay? I'm here for those who resonate and who work well, or who not work well, but who I can bring value to, So, all that being said, what does that mean? What does that mean for this particular video? Well, I'm gonna share with you at least what's helped me to get past all of those limiting beliefs that used to hold me back a ton, kept me in a spot where I didn't want to be, and then I would just focus on the spot where I didn't want to be and nothing would happen. But now, gosh, we pretty much living in my dream home, thanks be to God. Family, 9 kids. How in the heck does somebody have 9 kids? Apparently I really enjoy making kids, and I don't know if my wife does, but living such a great and purposeful life, and hopefully blessing other people and blessing you with some advice that my mentors have given me from a while back. Okay, so let's get into it. Number one, how to deal with limiting beliefs. So back when I was first starting my business, one of the things that was really hard for me to grasp and to comprehend, because for me, for whatever reason, as I was growing up, I really honestly cared about what other people thought of me, especially people who I look up to. And one of the hardest things for me was to be able to get past worrying about what others thought. When I first started my business, the reason why I bring up my business is because that was some of the hardest things that I ever had to go through. Even when I was in the military, it wasn't nearly as bad, because you kind of expect to be yelled at, you kind of expect to mess up, you kind of expect for all those things, right? But when I started my business, I had a family friend actually who was very successful, who I still talk to now and I look up to now, and I'm pretty glad he did this and he said this. He's somebody who doesn't really pull punches, and I'm really glad that he didn't. But I had just started my business and I was doing a lot of automation, doing a lot of IT, doing a lot of things like that, and I really thought at the time that I knew how to take a business and automate it and make it work so to where it was just generating profit and revenue and all this other stuff, right? And I thought I knew what actual business was and how to generate all that good stuff, right? Well, what happened? He basically said, he looked at my site, he looked at my business card, and at the time it said Prosulum, business consultant and stuff like that. And he looked at it and he's like, business consultant, what do you know about business? And keep in mind, he had several successful businesses, and he basically was like, he's like, you don't own a, he literally said, you haven't even owned a business. How do you, what makes you think you can consult as a business consultant? And I don't even remember what I said back to him. Honestly, I don't know. I essentially ended up just being like, you know what? Screw you. I'm done. I don't care what you think, and I'm going to push through and get my business going. And what happened? Lots of years later, I ended up becoming a successful business person, a successful businessman. And it's funny because he and his wife actually ended up asking me to help with lead generation or thoughts, asking what I thought about how to generate more leads for their business and how to do different things that beforehand would have been, they would have been like, I don't even know how you can help us because you obviously don't know what you're doing. Really cool experience, very painful experience, a big punch to the gut. Obviously, they were right. He was right. I had no clue what I was doing in business at the time, but you did have to fake it till you make it, right? So the biggest thing though was learning to push through that disappointment, learning to push through that what other people were thinking, and a lot of that comes from the ability to do number two. Number two is reframing the whole reframing your difficult experience, okay? You know, a lot of the times, if you are going to do anything that is of purpose and of value, guess what's gonna happen? You're going to be met with resistance. I wouldn't even say a lot of the time, every single time, you are going to be met with resistance. It's just the name of the game. It's just how it works. You gotta get used to it. It's part of the game. And when you reframe it as, when you learn to reframe resistance and hardship as something that is it's more of God's way of teaching you how to become better, how to grow internally, how to expand who you are. When you see the resistance that comes, the hardships that come, the difficulties that come, what happens, and when you reframe it, you see it almost like a weightlifter, right? You know, these big, huge weightlifters who could bench 500, 600 pounds. Is that 500 and 600 pounds still heavy for them? Yeah, if it's their personal best, if it's what their max is, that is still heavy for them, right? So what would have happened when they first started weightlifting? What would have happened if they stopped at 45 pounds, just the bar? They're like, this is really hard, 5, 6, 7, and they're like, I can't go anymore. This is too hard. The resistance is too much. It's too difficult. If they would have stopped, they would literally just be at that 45-pound bar with no weights. In fact, when I was in the military, I had like no upper body strength. I could do the bar, but if you put any weights on there, not gonna happen. I had to push through. I hated upper body for whatever reason. I hated it. And I had to push through to where I think my max was like 225 or something like that, but still awesome. Was it hard for me at 145? Yep. Was it hard for me at 155? Yep. Was it hard for me at 165? But going back, those became easier, right? So that's why you have these rich people, people who have been in business for a long time. It's very easy for them to generate revenue, to do things that seem impossible because they've pushed themselves so much. And even now, for what I've been doing here, it's almost, I remember when I hired my first person for like $300 a month. And I was like, this is crazy outsourcing. How am I going to afford $300 a month? And now I'm like, I pay 5 figures out every week to my staff, to all the people that we have. And it's crazy. It's a much bigger problem to have, but it doesn't feel any more difficult from the $300 to now, but now going back to $300 per month is like, oh yeah, it's cake. Are you kidding me? We'll figure it out. Not a big deal. So know that every single difficult thing is meant to expand who you are. When you reframe it like that, it's like, okay, I'm weightlifting. I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to get resistance. Comes right back. Awesome. Yeah? Huh? All right. And for the final tip number 3, the thing with dealing with limiting beliefs is to change your focus from the limiting belief to where you want to be. Visualizing where you want to be and using that in the present moment. You know, a lot of the times, so there was I was just listening, what was I listening to? I was listening to something today. Who was it? Tom Barnett, a guy named Tom Barnett. And he's in Australia, really cool guy. He was talking about how he had seen this picture that a friend had sent him or something like that of a road with nobody on it, and it was just a clear road, 2-lane highway, and one tree was there, and the only skid marks on that road went straight for that tree. And he was saying that when you are focused on something, you tend to move toward that thing, right? You tend to go toward that. And that can be good or it can be bad. When you are stuck in limiting beliefs, trust me, like look, I might be all animated and look amazing, handsome, beard that just is growing and full and luxurious. Actually, I kind of look like I'm homeless. Anyway, but you look at me and you're like, wow, yeah, dude, you're pretty animated, you're doing well. This was not how I was, right? But focusing on the limiting belief, I'm not this, I can't do this, I can't do that. You won't do that. You won't. I remember back when I was when I used to live in Orange County, we really wanted to move to the country. That was one of our dreams. I really, really wanted to move to the country. And I had learned over time to start visualizing it to the point where everything is happening now. I can sit at my desk over here, and I would visualize it. I was in my mind sitting at my desk, seeing what my bank account was, seeing what my house looked like, all these different things. It's funny because I actually had this vision of a house that was up on a hill, and there was another little like a clubhouse or something like that was over here, and then a lake to the right. And I kept on visualizing that, and I'm looking here, I should be looking there. Kept on visualizing that. What happened was we ended up getting a house, beautiful, beautiful house for us. We love it, on a lot of acreage over here. And I'm thinking, I wonder why that particular house didn't come to pass. Well, it turns out that a church friend of ours had that exact house. And I'm not joking. On the hill, clubhouse thing over here was actually like a barn that was turned into an Airbnb, and then a lake over here. Cute old couple from our church. I'm like, dude, that was the house. When you visualize what you want and who you want to become, and you do it in the present moment, for whatever reason, I don't know why, God made it this way, a lot of the times it comes true. So rather than focusing on the limiting belief, maybe you're scared to speak in front of people. Visualize being successful, being in front of people and them laughing, you being animated, doing all those different things. You'll be surprised. You'll be very, very, very surprised that the more that you do that, the more it's going to come true. Okay. All right. So those are the tips on dealing with limiting beliefs. Visualization, the number three one is absolutely one of the most valuable things that I've ever learned. Use it, and you will see that these limiting beliefs will go away. But don't see them as bad things. Go, feel the resistance. Start weightlifting with these things. You'll become a better person in whatever way, spiritually, with your family, business-wise, financially, whatever it is. Use it and reframe it. You'll see that they are awesome. So anyway, Dean Soto, Freedom in 5 Minutes. Go check out freedomin5minutes.com, prosulem.com, prosulem.com, and I will see you in the next Freedom in 5 Minutes video.